It's time to preview, predict, and prognosticate away here on Talking 10 TV. And with conference action in nearly full swing this weekend, what better way to celebrate than a Michigan-Purdue slobberknocker? While plenty of people wrote this game off as an afterthought on the schedule, reality has set in and Purdue has decided to come to life early on this season. An impressive showing in a loss to Louisville, and then a 35-3 butt kicking of Missouri last week have plenty of people paying attention to the Boilermakers now. Michigan, on the other hand, has underwhelmed massive offseason expectations, wholesale roster changes notwithstanding. Let's just say these two teams come in heading in opposite directions on the feel-good meter. Will any of that matter when the final whistle blows on Saturday, though? And there's plenty to be intrigued about, especially given Michigan's impressive defensive display and Purdue's potent offense to date. Something is going to have to give, and that brings us to our burning question for this game. My one burning question: just how good is Purdue? A one-score loss to Louisville, in which Purdue had multiple chances to win, impressed. And so has the fact that Purdue went out and then won the next two games instead of folding like a cheap suit like it normally did under Darrell Hazell. But those wins came against Ohio University and a really bad Missouri Tigers team. So it is fair to ask just how good the Boilermakers really are. Michigan should provide all the tests really needed in this one. It's going to be a fun battle between David Blau, who has completed a ridiculous 76.1% of his passes for 597 yards and 6 touchdowns, and then also a Wolverines defense that hasn't allowed more than 181 yards to any passing attack and ranks second in the Big Ten in passing defense. Michigan's run defense has been equally impressive, allowing just 82.3 yards per game, including against a run-heavy Air Force attack. And there's just one touchdown on the ground allowed by Michigan. On the flip side, Purdue's defense just built a ton of confidence by holding Mizzou out of the end zone last weekend. Meanwhile, Michigan's best offense has been its defense at times this season. 3 of Michigan's 9 touchdowns to open the season have come from the defensive side of the football. Can Michigan show it can move the ball and finish drives, or has Purdue's defense made enough of a leap to keep Wilton Speight and company out of the end zone? Now, this game is fascinating because the result likely tells us all we need to know about where these two teams stand today and where they're heading. 2 key stats. Very simple. The number 1, as in that is the number of touchdowns Michigan has scored from inside the red zone this season. When I talked about the Wolverines' best offense being its defense at times, I wasn't kidding. Not only has the defense scored 1/3 of Michigan's TDs this season, its offense has been downright anemic in the red zone too. Michigan has converted on 9 of 10 red zone opportunities in 2017, and that's good, but the real story is the fact that just 1 of the 9 scores has been in the form of a touchdown. That's what I would call a problem, one that needs to be solved now, or Michigan is in some serious trouble the rest of the way in the Big Ten. My second stat here, well, it's the number 6, as in that's the number of years since Purdue's last homecoming victory. I point this out because that victory over Illinois in 2011 came against a ranked team. The Illini were ranked number 23 in the nation at the time of that contest. It was a 21-14 victory as well for Purdue. And hint, hint, Michigan comes in ranked in this contest. And well, also, Purdue hasn't had a head coach win his debut homecoming game since guess who? Joe Tiller. He did that back in 1997. Now, many have begun the comparisons in the turnaround between Tiller and Jeff Brom today. Could he match Tiller as a homecoming victor and snap a 5-game losing streak in the homecoming games in the process? 3 key players. Number 1 on the list, Wilton Speight, quarterback for Michigan. Simply put, no player has been under a more intense microscope for the Wolverines this season than Speight. And there's a reason for it too, because Speight is 11th of 14 quarterbacks in the Big Ten in completion percentage, 10th in passing yards per game, and is averaging a paltry 1 touchdown throw per game right now. Despite his struggles through 3 games, Harbaugh appears to be sticking with Speight. Should he struggle on Saturday, one has to wonder how quick the hook may be. And then again, what if Speight has the light bulb turn on for him completely? Simply put, Michigan's offense goes as Speight goes, and so far, that hasn't been good news. The second key player here, Jackson Anthrop, wide receiver, Purdue. If you want to know what the difference really has been for the Boilermakers in 2017, look no further than the insertion of Jackson Anthrop to the offense. The redshirt 3, 2, 1. The redshirt freshman has been a perfect fit for Jeff Brown's offense and has been an explosive playmaker. He leads the team and is second in the Big Ten with 17 receptions and 4 receiving touchdowns. Anthrop exploded against Louisville for 7 catches, 72 yards, and a pair of scores. Michigan's pass defense has been stellar, holding opponents to just 125.7 yards per game. But it also has given up a pair of passing touchdowns and certainly hasn't faced the passing attack that Purdue brings. The matchup in the slot could be the difference maker in this game for Purdue. My third player is Danny Ezechukwu. That's right, the defensive end from Purdue, and I hope I'm saying that name correctly. I'll only practice it about 1,000 times. But the 6'2", 250-pound converted linebacker has been impressive in his new role this season. In fact, Purdue's front 7 has actually been pretty impressive as a whole. But Ezechukwu stands out with his 11 total tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 1 sack so far this season. Winning the battle with Michigan's offensive line is going to be key. Don't be surprised to see Danny flying off the edge on a relatively immobile Wilton Speight. Getting pressure on him has to be key, and it has been key for other teams. We'll see if this can be the case again on Saturday for Purdue. As for the prediction, as tempting as it is to buy into Purdue being a good team, and Michigan not so much, the reality is those perceptions are largely based on very different sets of offseason expectations. Michigan's defense is still really freaking good. Purdue's offense still has some holes in it. Don't worry, folks. All will be right with the world, and Michigan wins this one. Barely. I've got Michigan 24-20 over Purdue. This has been Andy Coppins at Andy on Football. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at TalkingB1G. And do not forget, hit that subscribe button below, follow the links, and please make sure you're passing this along to your friends because we're keeping independent Big Ten coverage alive. On that note, enjoy a great weekend of Big Ten football and keep on living the B1G life.